Hi, I'm Sharon Robinson Briggs, Mayor of the City of Plainfield, and welcome to this segment of the Mayor's Corner. I'm joined today by Mr. Ephraim Halpert, who is the administrator of the Aristocare at Norwood Terrace in Plainfield, as well as Ms. Renee Przansky, who is the Chief Operating Officer from the corporate office. Welcome to both of you, and thank you for joining me today on this segment.
Thank you. Our pleasure.
Thank you. It's a pleasure to see both of you. I've been out to the facility in Plainfield, and I know that it's a wonderful, wonderful facility over there. Please give us some information relative to that facility.
Well, just to back up a little bit, it becomes a complicated choice sometimes.
Okay.
Because you have either a stroke, for example, or a family member has a stroke, or some kind of cardiac episode, and you end up in the hospital. And the way it works today, you can't just stay in the hospital as long as you need to recover. Usually with insurance limitations, you have to kind of go home a little sooner than you expect. And there's definitely the option of outpatient resources, such as physical therapy and the likes. But there is sometimes a period of time once you're out of the hospital that you don't feel ready to go home, or the family members might not be prepared to take care of somebody right away. So it's a nice bridge between leaving the hospital and being completely recovered and able to resume your normal life.
Excellent.
So, it's called a subacute stay. It's a short-term rehab stay. I know a lot of people think of nursing homes as, when you are older and that's your final place to be. But we do long-term care as well. But subacute is for people that are recovering short-term and then they go home.
And are they receiving medical care over there in your facility?
Absolutely. But it's even more than that because, again, it can be daunting when you're going into a facility. People get a little nervous. But it's actually a way to really accelerate your recovery because aside from, the option of going home and then going to outpatient care, there's a lot of things surrounding that, a lot of difficulties in how you're going to be transported and how you're going to get there and how you're feeling. This is really giving you the time to recover in an atmosphere that's taking care of all your clinical needs, but we're also taking care of the social needs. We're making sure that there's a lot to do, that there's always things to keep you busy because you don't want to just sit there and think about what's, hurting you. I think part of progress is really being able to be engaged in activities and meeting other people and kind of resuming your regular life as well as taking care of the clinical aspects. So.
Absolutely. I thank you for that. I agree because I'll tell you when I visited the Plainfield location, I actually played bingo with some of the residents there.
You did.
So it was wonderful. I have to commend you because that facility has such a warm environment, and it's clean.
And I may add, you were getting very into that bingo.
I love that bingo game. That's right.
I'm enjoying that.
And I said I would come back, and I'm definitely going to go back.
I appreciate it. And if I could just jump in, I have to. First of all, we want to really thank you for allowing us to spend some time with you.
My pleasure.
It's been a goal of ours to really connect with the community.
Yes.
And we figured what better way than, of course, to reach out to the mayor and to invite the mayor in. And you were very gracious, and you came in to join us.
Thank you.
And I'm going to talk about the community events in a moment, but I want to take this opportunity to thank you, actually, because during Hurricane Sandy, you were, Plainfield was quite devastated, and it's something I'll never forget, coming into work, for miles all around, everything was devastated, and we'll remember what that was all about. And we were getting quite desperate. We had a generator that was running for 10 days straight.
Yes.
And thankfully, everything was running without a hitch, and everybody was pitching in, and everyone did what they had to do, and that was wonderful. But at one point, I remember we were really just trying to get back to normal, and you were really, really, really helpful because I reached out to your office.
Yes.
And the next day, Mr. Jackson, Eric Jackson, called me, said that you had asked him to reach out to me to see how he can help.
Yes.
And it actually was helpful because he was able to kind of get the attention of some of the crews that were repairing the wires and the trees to kind of say, hey, look, let's try to realize that this is a skilled nursing facility, it's a healthcare facility. And it's a matter of directing them, and they did come out. I was down the street and watching where they were cleaning up everything, and so on behalf of all of us and the facility and the residents, that we're most grateful. I wanted to just take this opportunity to be able to thank you for that.
I really appreciate that. Thank you so very much. You are our community partner. So when you reached out, we knew that we needed to help you. So I thank you.
We appreciate it. And at Aristocare, our philosophy is we're not just a business. We want to integrate ourselves into the community because we feel very privileged to be part of the community. And to that end, when you came in for bingo, which was a lot of fun, that is when we invited the community in. And we feel that there might be seniors out there or people who are recovering and are kind of home and not working, and they need to get out. And part of what we do in bringing in the community is also just giving them some tips on how to stay well. And I know that's a big objective of yours.
Oh,
so,
yes.
you know,
Absolutely.
Hello, my name is James Wilson, developer and designer of Our Health Ministry, where we disseminate health information to churches and faith-based organizations. On July 14th, 2012, my life was dramatically changed because I had a stroke. A stroke is when blood vessels go to your brain and disrupt and cause brain damage. I immediately got infected with my right side of my body. But I was very blessed and lucky enough to use the acronym FAST. FAST stands for face, when one side of your face gets numb. Arms, when your arms are being affected. S, for slurred speech. And T, for time. That's when you call 911 as soon as you see these symptoms. Remember, get emergency help if you see any of yourself or your loved ones with any of these symptoms. The quicker you get medical attention, the faster you will actually get recovery. Thank you.
partners and community is what it's all about, and we always appreciate the opportunity for that.
Thank you. And that day, we did have a lot of our senior citizens who
Yes, we
also
did.
joined and came over to the facility. And we had a chance to have a tour. So there were a lot of great things. I saw your exercise area and many
Right.
other
Yeah.
areas,
Yeah.
your bedrooms,
Yeah,
everything.
people are surprised when they see our rehab room because it's a little more sophisticated than even, some of the hospitals.
Oh, yes.
Because we really believe that when people come in, if they're coming in for a short-term stay, there's no place like home.
Exactly.
They want to come in, they want to recover, and they want to go home. And guess what? We're on the same page. We want that as
Exactly.
well. So we really turned over, left no stone unturned in finding the best rehab equipment, hospital grade, and we really are very aggressive with our rehabilitation so that they can really get back on their feet and get back into the community quickly.
Well, you all seem to have everything that's needed to offer to folks who require your type of subacute services. The only thing, and we've talked about it for a moment before, I think the only thing that's needed now is people need to know exactly where you are and how to get to you. So maybe that sign that you brought up before, a nice
That would be
big
very
sign,
helpful.
yeah,
Yes, thank you.
logo, so the folks will know how to come to you.
Yes, we
We
do get
don't want
quite
to
a
be
couple.
a secret.
Yeah,
That's for
exactly.
sure.
That's right.
Exactly.
We're the best kept secret, but we want it to be, not such a secret.
Yes.
Because we're kind of hidden behind the church on Front Street. So
Yes.
when there's quite a lot of traffic on Front Street, and when people come by, we get very frequently, we'll get visitors, they'll say, hey, we were looking around for you, we didn't see you,
Yes.
So we wanted to make it more accessible to them. So we're hoping that we'll be able to,
Absolutely. Well, I
Get that.
know that you'll be speaking with one of our directors sometime
I
very
sure will.
soon, and prayerfully we can make that happen. But I'll tell you, what also interestingly enough, your facility is really like on the borderline. So oftentimes,
Right.
people will come down your street on Norwood, they think you're in North Plainfield.
Right.
But you're actually in Plainfield, New Jersey, which we're very happy about that.
Sure.
And look forward to working with you for years to come. So please give your address, telephone number,
Okay, sure.
email or website so that the listening audience here would
Okay.
know how to contact you.
so we are Aristocare at Norwood Terrace, and we are 40 Norwood Avenue,
Yes.
which is right off of Front Street. So it's the corner of Front Street and Norwood. And the website is www.aristocare.com. That's ARISTACARE.com. Of course, they can call us if they'd like and schedule a tour or just get some information at 908-769-1400. And my extension is 229 in case they want to speak to me directly, or they can just ask for
It's
the
always
administrator.
accessible, which is
Yes.
really a wonderful thing.
That's a good feature, it
welcome,
really is.
One of the things that I really enjoy doing is what's rewarding, is being able to help somebody. When somebody is, either they're looking for subacute or they're not sure if it's going to be a short-term stay or possibly might turn into something long-term. It's a very, very trying time for family. It's very,
It is.
an anxious time. They're not always sure which way to go. They're feeling guilty sometimes, perhaps.
Yes.
And we really enjoy being able to put their mind at ease, being able to educate them and give them all the options and tell them, look, we're here to help you every step of the way.
Yes.
Whether it's payer source, insurances, or paperwork that has to be filled out, or what to expect, or what kind of services might be available. We want them to know that, hey, from A to Z, you're going to be taken care of. You just
Yes.
come into us, and we'll put your mind at ease, and everything will be just fine. And that's really the most satisfying, because
It's valuable because, like you say, people get very confused. There are a lot of choices out there.
Yes.
And I think, as a mayor who's very concerned about everybody who lives in Plainfield,
Absolutely.
our message would be that it's important to gather the information, and it's important to make sure that whether you're looking for a short-term stay or a long-term stay, you find a place where the staff is very warm and loving. And you can tell when you tour buildings. We always
Oh, yes.
recommend that. You want to make sure that there are physicians that round through the building. You want to talk to people that were there previously. And, as you've experienced, Norwood's a very warm place.
is.
And,
It really
And
is.
Aristocare in general, the goal always is, people are people. This is a trying time in their lives. We want to do whatever we can to empower them, to make sure that what we say in the industry, it's person-centered care. We're caring about each person as if they're an individual. Everybody has their own story.
Yes.
Everybody has their own sensitivities. Everybody has their own likes
Oh,
and
yeah.
dislikes. You've
Everybody's
got people who are
different.
night people, you've got people who are morning people, and for us to really get to know the individual person and take care of them in the way that they individually need to be taken care of, that's our goal. So when people are looking for that level of care, it's important to really focus on, all those areas and to take a good look and see what would be the best environment.
And if I
I
could even
agree.
add, if I could even
Yes,
add to
please.
that, to kind of say like what kind of sets us apart, which I think is really important because this is what our secret ingredient. If I had to sum up in 2 words, I would say heart and soul. Starting from the home office, the Aristocare office,
Yes.
with the CEO and everybody else that's underneath, down to the administrators and all the staff. It's not. Of course, it's a business, but it's way beyond just being a business. I
Yes,
mean,
it is.
it never was Sidney Greenberg, who's the CEO of the company. It was never his intent to just, hey, this is a great business. Let me run this
Right,
business.
it's a mission.
It's a mission. It's a passion, and that really, really trickles down to the staff, and that really kind of is given over. And I think that's what families see when they walk in. Just to give an example. Sidney actually used to be the administrator at Norwood Terrace.
I met him some years ago.
About
Yes.
8 or 10
In
years
fact,
ago.
if you want to start at the beginning, Sydney was a pot washer
Oh,
at a
really?
nursing home.
Wow, my
Absolutely.
goodness.
and
He worked his way up, and he became the administrator of the
Excellent.
facility. And I can tell you there now, me being there now, all these years later, when he comes into the building,
Yes.
people hug him and they go, "Oh, Sydney, how are you? How are the kids? How's everything?" A genuine liking,
genuine
concern.
he just exactly concern, and they truly are proud to work for his company.
That's excellent.
And it
It's really
translates,
good,
which is
yeah.
It
really
translates over, and
beautiful.
that's something it's really important to us.
And what you've seen also as well is a lot of us Aristocare employees, we've had loved ones in any of our 6 buildings. And I think that goes to show a lot because we're so passionate about what we do. We would never run any skilled nursing facility in a way that we wouldn't feel comfortable having our own loved ones there.
Oh, that
And we've
means
all
a
had
lot.
instances where we've had
Sure.
loved ones and
Yeah.
they've
We've
been
had
in
people who work with us who bring their mother, their aunt, their dad, they bring them into
And
us.
that means a lot. That really does show the level of care and the level of love that you show. I'll tell you, like I said earlier, when I visited your facility, I was extremely impressed. I'm big on how you greet people because to me that
Sure.
sets the tone for the meeting. And everyone was very kind, very friendly, very giving, open to any questions that I had. And so I'm just, I love just as you do. I love the people of Plainfield or the people that come in, and for them to feel comfortable at that time of need. That's a very important thing. So I would advise anyone who is looking for a subacute care facility to look your way and come in for a tour, sit down and speak with you, and see what's going on in your facility. I bet you they'll be very pleasantly surprised to learn it's probably someplace they'd like to have
home away
their
from
resident.
home in
Absolutely right.
Plainfield.
And what's
Absolutely.
behind that smile when you see a staff member smiling at you or saying hello is actually, in many cases, many years of experience because quite a large number of our staff have been there for many, many years. I'm talking 5, 10, 15, 20, and even some 25 years.
That's good.
Whether they're nurses, some of the department heads. And that's something you just can't buy, you can't advertise, you can't make up.
And they're
that's
happy,
just-
they're genuinely happy,
I
they're
mean,
supported in what they need to do, and
This is
that's
their
a good
home.
feeling.
These
That's
are-
continuity.
They look at the
Of the
folks like, this
facility.
is my mother, this is my, you know, my extension of my house.
And when you put people first, you put the patients first and the residents first, the
Yes.
staff has a great feeling because they know they're empowered to do whatever they need to do to make sure that everybody's happy.
Happy,
And
cared
sometimes
for.
you have to do something and then just let everybody know later, we're good. You know, whatever it takes to make everybody
Flexible.
happy. We're flexible and we're supportive and we give our staff that kind of range.
And that's from,
Go ahead, dear, I'm sorry.
and that's from an emotional point of view, but from a clinical point of view, you know.
Yes.
As Renee touched upon, a lot of the things that we specialize in. But one of the big, very, very important key components is, you know, we try to keep, as much as possible, we try to avoid people being re-hospitalized as much as possible. We want to keep them in place. Caring in place is a very important thing. It's something that has taken on a very, very focal interest with a lot of the hospitals to cut that down. They're monitoring that very closely right now to see, because they
Even
believe.
for the patients, I think we find that when they're bouncing back and forth to the hospital, it's just not the best thing for them. You know, they're getting settled in, they're in middle recovery, they've got a great schedule and a great momentum going with rehab, and then they go back to the hospital, sometimes they pick up an infection. It's never a good scenario.
And it's upsetting, you know, because
It's
it makes one
upsetting.
think
If
that
the
they're
family
going backwards.
hears it, they get very nervous, and it's exactly right. It feels like the progress is going backwards.
And that could set
So-
a person back
Sure.
sometimes, you
Yeah,
know.
absolutely.
So what we like to do is to ensure the stability and to make sure that they don't have that bouncing back and forth from the hospital. We have some technology, and I know you've seen a lot of technology in our building because we're very
yes.
big on bringing in the newest and the latest, whatever can benefit.
Excellent.
But the technology is called LiveMD. It's powered by eSNP, and it's telemedicine. And there's a doctor on the other end of the line, which is great. So it's almost like getting a private visit in your room.
Yes.
The patient might still have to go to the hospital, but at least there's a doctor right there saying, you know what, instructing the nurses what to do, and this way they know.
And they can see the doctor, actually. The doctor is visible to the patient on the
FaceTime
screen.
kind of thing.
Yes.
So there's that
And
level
they
of
can
comfort.
see, and not only that, but there's actually a stethoscope that the nurse can place on the patient, on the resident, and the doctor on the other line can actually hear. They can see the eyes, they can see the ears, they can listen to the heartbeat, and that is
That's really
truly,
good.
you know, unbelievable
That's phenomenal,
technology.
yes.
And
So then this is really for patients that probably need the least amount of care, would you say?
well, it depends. In other words, we want to avoid them going to the hospital. So if somebody finds themselves in a situation where they potentially may be sent out to the hospital,
Yes.
prior to just automatically just calling the doctor and saying, you know, maybe on a weekend, maybe in the evening, oh, okay, yeah, just send the patient out, you know, when in doubt, just send them out.
Right, if it's an emergency, there's never a question. If it's an
Right.
emergency,
Yes.
they're going to the hospital. If it's something where they're not sure, it's always great to get the doctor involved. And not only that, but then they can assess the situation and actually make it go quicker in the hospital because they can call in ahead of time to the hospital to make sure that they're aware of everything because the doctor has already checked the patient out. So
Okay.
even if he does end up in the hospital, he's getting there, he's being seen right away,
Yes.
and they know exactly what the issues are instead of starting from
Okay.
scratch.
So, which is excellent. That's really excellent. Well, I'll tell you, I just need to ask you one other thing that we may not have covered, and that is, how does someone become a patient at your facility? Is it always by way of from a hospital where a doctor has to refer someone, or how do we
Yes,
do that?
well, first of all, we have many doctors that we're affiliated with personally in our facility.
Okay.
They may have seen that patient out in the community. They may have seen the person in the hospital.
Yes.
So that's one way that they would recommend, say, hey, look, we're comfortable with this facility. We highly recommend that you check out the facility, see what they're all about, because I'm comfortable sending my patients here. Another way is we have a long-standing relationship with the social workers, the case managers in the hospitals.
Oh, very good.
Right,
So-
their function is to handle the discharge. So when someone's in the hospital,
Okay.
it's the social worker that approaches the family at the end of that hospital stay to discuss the options.
Okay, so there's a smooth transition.
There's a smooth
from hospital
transition.
to
It's
your
always
facility.
good for a patient to know what's in the neighborhood. So by the time they get to the hospital,
Right, they're not under the gun, they're
they're
not making the
aware.
arrest.
Why should they leave the Plainfield community and
Exactly.
go
We want
somewhere
them to
else?
come home.
It's good to say, you know what, I've been at Aristocare at Norwood Terrace. I live in
Yes.
Plainfield. It's a wonderful place. If I have to go somewhere, that's where I'd like to go.
Exactly.
So it's really just the
Exactly.
awareness, sometimes, exactly what Renee is saying, you're under the situation, you're under duress, and you're not really thinking exactly what your options are, so it's really great to just be aware ahead of time to say, hey, what are your options? What are
Split-second decision, where do I go? Uh-oh, I haven't
Exactly.
thought about this.
At the last minute, that's not a good time to have to make such a
And if there's,
wonderful
and if there's
decision.
one
but-
thing that I could say that would really drive this home as to why people would feel comfortable coming to us, which kind of really speaks for itself,
Yes.
is the amount of repeat business that we get.
Mm.
We like to get people well, get them home as quickly as possible. That's our goal. Should they ever find themselves needing services of any kind in the future, we found that there's a unbelievable percentage that actually come back to us.
Recidivism.
So, I mean, and sometimes, many times, we were kind of joking the other day that we had a woman that came back for the 8th time.
Oh,
We should give frequent
We
flyer
should,
cards.
we should have some kind of
Yes.
credit. Because, I mean, that really truly speaks for itself. I mean, we could sit
Right.
here and say all these wonderful
It's really
things,
true.
but when people continuously come back to us,
Right.
There's a comfort level.
I mean,
And the
that's-
other thing I think you'd agree with is we have what's called a director of quality experience. When you go to a healthcare facility, again, they're really interested in getting you clinically better, and that's always very important. But what we focus on as well is patient satisfaction. And we're not looking to send a survey when somebody goes home after
Yeah,
their stay because it's too
absolutely
late. Within the first 24 hours, we start a series of patient satisfaction questionnaires with the patient.
Oh, good.
Because we want to know, how's everything doing? And if they have an issue, we want to know right away so we can correct it. And we have a whole action team and an action plan.
That's a
So
good
we
thing.
really pride ourselves on that. We feel like that's what gets us the satisfaction, which is really important. And the other thing is, as you've seen when you've come to visit, it really looks more like a hotel
Oh, it does.
than a
It really
nursing
does.
facility. And I think that makes a
It
huge
really
difference.
does.
Even if you need to come in for, 10 days, 30 days, 45 days, just till you get
Yeah.
back to your previous level of functioning.
Oh, yes.
You don't want to be in a sterile, institutional
Oh, it's
environment.
very pretty.
You want to
Very
feel like
pretty.
it's home. You really feel like you're in a hotel. And to that end, with our whole concierge type of thing, with the
Yes.
director of quality
yes.
experience, it really makes people feel really warm and
I love
fuzzy
it.
feeling.
Again, so please remind everybody, again, of where you're located and telephone number, website.
Okay, so it's 40 Norwood Avenue.
Yes.
Which is on the corner of Norwood and Front Street. And our phone number is 908
Excuse me.
769-1400. And our website is www.aristocare.com. So, like I said.
And it's hidden, when
Yeah,
you
it's
pass
kinda
by
nestled
sometimes.
behind the church there.
That's the whole
Exactly.
beauty of it, is if you drive into the driveway, it's
very
beautiful,
pretty.
it's expansive. But because it's set back a little,
Yes.
you have to look for it.
Oh,
So
yes.
that's why we always
This is
love to
very
tell
private,
people
right?
where we're located, so.
Yes,
But again, you
absolutely.
live in Plainfield, the messages
Exactly.
come out, take a tour, you never know. We have so many nice community events anyway to take advantage of.
I'm
And this
telling
way,
you.
if you ever need it,
It's
you
there
know,
for
you've seen it,
everyone's services.
can't hurt. We're your
Well,
neighbor.
And not only that, they give you wonderful tea bags.
Whatever it takes to make
Absolutely.
it happen.
Aristocare. Well, I want to thank you both so very much for coming in to tell all of our listeners about Aristocare.